Fatih. السلام عليكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد سيدنا والآخرين. مدد يا رسول، مدد يا سادات أصحابه، مدد يا مشايخ الدستور ولا شاء الله فأزداد شيخ محمد الرحمن. مدد طريقتنا الصحبة والخير في الجمعية. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. كلوا واشربوا ولا تسرفوا. صدق الله العظيم. الله عز وجل buyuruyor. için israf etmeyin diyor.
Allah Almighty says, eat and drink, but do not waste.
Allah Azze ve Celle. Allah Azze ve Celle her insanın rızkını, yiyeceğini, içeceğini
Allah Almighty has predetermined everyone's provision. Allah Almighty has predetermined everything a person is going to eat and every sip he is going to drink.
Onun hayatı boyunca ne kadar varsa Allah Azze ve Celle yazmış.
Allah Almighty allocated every single bit a person is going to eat and every single sip a person is going to drink throughout his entire life.
Rızkı bitince ölür.
And when that provision ends, then that person dies.
Yani normalde öyledir. Bazen keramet sahibi olan yemeden içmeden de yaşar.
This is how things normally are. There are also holy people who can live without eating or drinking through their miraculous powers.
Ama normalde insan yemeyip içmeye rızkı bitince ölür.
But usually when one has eaten his last bit, when one has drunk his last sip, and when one's provision has ended, then one dies.
Başka çaresi yok.
There is no other option.
Onun için rızkın neyse muhakkak onu alacaksın.
Therefore, let there be no doubt that you will receive what Allah Almighty has provided you with.
Rızkını alınca Allah'a Azze ve Celle şükredeceksin.
And when you receive those divine favors, those things Allah Almighty has provided you with, then be thankful for having received Allah Almighty's provision.
O rızkı verdi de, sana verdi de.
Say thanks to Allah Almighty that He gave to you what He predetermined for you to receive.
Rızık acayip bir şeydir.
The provision of Allah Almighty, the rizq, is something extraordinary.
İnsanın her lokmada insanın kimin yiyeceği yazılıdır.
With every single bit you eat, every single bite has been written and it is determined who is going to eat that bit.
O lokmayı başkası yiyemez.
And every bit has one's name on it and nobody else can eat what is predetermined for somebody.
Kendi yiyecek, muhakkak o yiyecek.
What is destined for you is going to be eaten by you, by no one else.
Onun bu mümin olan, Müslüman olan insanın itikadı böyledir.
We as Muslims believe in Allah Almighty's provision.
Onun için yediği yemekler bir gittiği yerde davet olduğu, evinde, sokakta, orada, burada, nerede.
And there are various places where we receive what Allah Almighty has provided for us. Sometimes we are invited as guests, sometimes we are somewhere outside, but one way or the other, we receive what Allah Almighty predetermined for us to eat or to drink.
Olursa o ismi yazılan lokmayı yiyecek.
We will certainly eat that bit which has our name on it.
Onun için meşayihler, Şeyh Baba, bu Peygamber Efendimiz hadisi galiba muhakkak misafir geleceği vakit onun rızkı ondan önce gelir.
And our sheikhs and Maulana Shaykh Nazim would speak about this and the importance about Allah Almighty's provision and about hosting a guest. And I think it is a hadith by our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, in which our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, says that when a guest comes, the provision that guest is going to eat will come before that guest.
Çünkü onun orada yiyecektir diye hazırlanır. Bu insan burada yiyecek.
In advance, what that person is going to eat will be prepared before that person even arrives.
Onun için misafir ağırlayan ona da fayda olur.
And thus, when somebody hosts a guest, the blessings that guest will bring will come in advance to that house where that guest is going to be received, and that guest is not only going to receive what has been provisioned for him by Allah Almighty, but that guest will also be the means for blessings and favors for the host.
Onun rızkı da gelmiş olur.
And it is through the guest that the provision of the host will also arrive.
O derdi misafirleri severdi ki sizin sayenizde biz de rızıklanıyoruz. Sizin rızkınız buradadır diye.
And Maulana Shaykh Nazim was always so happy to receive guests and to host guests and to invite them for dinner. And he would say that it is through you, O guests, that we receive the provisions of Allah Almighty too.
Bize de rızık veriliyor ki biz de onu ikram ediyoruz.
And thus Maulana Shaykh Nazim would be happy to receive guests, and he would say thanks that it is through you that we also receive the blessings and the provisions by Allah Almighty from which we benefit too, through you.
Büyükler böyledir.
This is how the great ones look at things.
Ne varsa Allah ne vermişse kimin rızkı varsa gelecek.
Whatever there is, whatever has been predetermined by Allah Almighty, and whatever every bit a person is going to, that bit is going to reach that person.
Orada o yerde olacak. Onda başkaları da faydalanır ondan.
And when a provision comes to, and when a guest comes, that provision will be a benefit for the guest himself and also for those who host them.
Onun için şimdi insanlar yok şöyle yapacağız, böyle yapacağız.
People claim many things. They say we do this, we are going to do that.
O telaş etmeye gerek yok.
But there's no need to worry.
Allah Azze ve Celle veriyor.
Allah Almighty is going to give, and He gives.
O rızık neyse yiyecek.
And you and your guest will receive and eat what Allah Almighty has provided you with, and what Allah Almighty has predetermined. That bit is going to reach you and your guest.
Yiyen de şükredip kalkacak.
And when we receive what Allah Almighty has provided us with, we must eat it and thank Allah Almighty for it.
Beğenmedim demeyecek.
And one must not say, I didn't like that.
Beğenmedim diyen edep dışı olmuş olur.
To not like what Allah Almighty has provided you with is bad manners and is outside what is required by the tariqah as good behavior.
Nimeti kabul etmemek olur.
To not accept Allah Almighty's divine favors is not good behavior, and when we say we didn't like it, then we are not accepting what Allah Almighty has provided us with, and this is not good adab.
Nimeti kabul etmeyen de nimetten mahrum olur.
And those who do not accept what Allah Almighty has provided you with will in the end be deprived of Allah Almighty's favors.
Onun için ne kadar şükrederseniz o kadar çoğalır.
Therefore, we must thank Allah Almighty as much as we can, and the more we are thankful, the more Allah Almighty will increase His favors upon us.
Nereye giderseniz kimsenin verdiği ikramları ondan bilmeyin. Allah'tan bilin. Allah Azze ve Celle'den bilin ki Allah'a şükredin.
Wherever you go, when you are a guest and you eat something, you must know that that bit and what you are offered is being offered to you in reality by Allah Almighty, and it is a divine favor by Allah Almighty, and you must be thankful to our Lord Allah Almighty for that provision.
Bu nimet büyük nimettir.
And thus you must consider every bit as a divine favor, as a great gift by Allah Almighty.
Bunu kıymetini bilmeyen kaybeder.
And those who do not appreciate the value of Allah Almighty divine favors and gifts in His provision will eventually lose those favors.
Onu da bulamaz.
And they will not find what they did not like.
Onun için Allah'a şükürler olsun verdiği nimetlere.
Therefore we are thankful to Allah Almighty for everything He gave to us.
İnşallah her lokma nur olur.
May every bit we eat turn into light.
İman olur daha fazla.
And may it increase our faith more and more.
Bedenimize kuvvet olur.
And may it give us strength.
Hak yolunda gitmeye.
So that we may proceed on the way of Allah Almighty, on the way of truth.
Kuvvet olur. Besmeleyle.
And we must eat every bit, and we must begin to eat with saying the Basmala.
Başlayıp Besmeleyle, Fatiha'yla bitirip.
And we must finish by again reciting the Basmala and the Fatiha.
Yiyin. O vakit kuvvet olur, iman olur.
When you eat this way, then every bit you eat will strengthen you and will increase your faith.
Allah'ın izniyle.
By the permission of Allah Almighty.
ومن الله التوفيق. الفاتحة.